Hello and good morning, beautiful people. Today is a rest day because it is Monday. Resting on Mondays and Fridays, but decided to change things up a little bit. So I am actually going to be going home either Thursday or Friday. It just depends when I get the car back. The brakes need to get fixed and everything else. I just want to make sure that it is safe to drive. It's going to be a 14-hour drive from Washington all the way down to the Bay Area. But I have one more lab, which is tomorrow, and then after that I have no more in-person commitments due to COVID. Not all my classes were online. The only class that's really mandatory is my physiology lab, and after we're done with that, then basically it's, gonna go home, and then I don't have to be back until the fall because my summer segment is all online as well. But in the fall, everything's going to be in person. But enough about that. Let's talk about the training updates. So definitely May 8th is not going to happen for obvious reasons. Number one, I'm going home, and I really just picked that show for more logistic reasons, but also I just don't think I'm going to be ready. Prep has been a little bit hard this time around because when you're taking 6 classes and you have an A in all your classes and you're trying to maintain your A, your energy is kind of split. Working out's been good, but the diet has been not that great, mainly just because sometimes I get so lost in my work that I kind of lose track of time and don't really prep the way that I should. And I apologize for the camera quality. I left the camera out in the car last night, so due to the cold and the temperature discrepancy, it's getting a little cloudy. But so either June 2nd or June 19th are going to be the shows that I do. So I decided I was going to deload this week. So I'm actually not going to train at all. All I'm going to do in the morning is fasted cardio for about an hour, and that's it. I'm going to focus on cleaning up the diet this week before I leave for home, but mainly due to the enhancement of the pharmacology that I've been using, my body's been feeling it, and I'm starting to notice I'm entering this overreaching state, and I notice it more with like my sleep and my recovery. Like I just feel like tired and fatigued all the time, so I decided I was just going to rest this week. So for fasted cardio, especially because obviously your glycogen is low and everything else, you're sort of primed for fat oxidation. So I want to preface by saying though that just because you do fasted cardio doesn't mean you're going to burn more fat than everyone else. That's ultimately dictated by your calorie balance. So if you're in a caloric deficit, this is going to be the biggest driver of weight loss or fat loss per se. However, there are things that you can do if you understand sort of the mechanisms behind fat loss. So for a lot of us, we have areas that we call stubborn fat, and mainly it's just because certain tissues, certain areas of fat, just getting fat out of the cell can be a little bit of a laborious task. So there's chemistry that you can use in order to do that. Some of it natural, some of it not. I'll preface which one is natural. So if you don't want to go the pharmacology route, these are things you can do. So first thing in the morning that I will do is I'll take some caffeine. This is a pre-workout. I'll typically do Rockstar, but you can even do caffeine pills if you want to do 100% completely fasted. I like just having something to drink, and it has a bunch of other nutraceuticals and nootropics in there too as well. So what I'll do after I do my fasted cardio, I'll come home and I'll do work, and I'll just notice that I'll be more alert than normal. Caffeine increases catecholamine production. Catecholamines are needed in order to kickstart that process of lipolysis, and that's where you have the fat cell and you have that triacylglycerols in the fat cell, and what happens with lipolysis is those triacylglycerols will hydrolyze, so the glycerol molecule will be separated, and then the 3 fatty acids, and then they'll leave the fat cell, enter the bloodstream. Glycerol will go towards the different pathway. The fatty acid will attach to albumin, transport in the blood, and then that will basically kickstart that process. And then we have yohimbine, which works synergistically with caffeine as well, and also binds to those receptors to increase hydrolysis of the fatty acids as well. I take about 30 milligrams of Anavar. There's really no I guess you could say fat burning effect from that, but for me, preservation of lean tissue is going to be a must, especially as I'm dieting down. And I take Anavar first thing in the morning to basically kickstart that process. I will take 4 IUs of GH. GH is one of the hormones that can attach to the fat cell to kickstart the hydrolysis of the triglycerol as well. And I'll also take 5 milligrams of L-carnitine. Now, L-carnitine is needed for, transport of the the fatty acid into the mitochondria to be utilized as fuel. So it works differently, a different mechanism, because when we're thinking about fat loss, we're really thinking about a two-step process. We have lipolysis and we have beta oxidation. Now, biggest driver of that two-step process is being in a caloric deficit, but like I said, there are certain physiological states you can be in, i.e. fasted, and there's certain chemistry that you can use to enhance that fat loss process. So and the mode of cardio that you would typically want to do is going to be more steady state, low intensity cardio. And that's the reason why, is because at lower intensities, preferentially your body will be burning more fat for energy than carbohydrates and protein. Now, as your intensity starts to go up, and you gauge this by your heart rate, the amount of fat that you're actually burning will go down, because your body will shift more towards a glucose dependent source of fuel. So, because then you start to get into more oxidative phosphorylation, and then if you go really intense, like all out effort, and you enter into those the lactic acid pathway, then you're almost exclusively using glucose for fuel. So those are things that you typically want to avoid. So why would you want to do steady state while you're harnessing all this? Well, just because fat leaves the cell doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be used as energy. You need to create a demand for it, or else it's just going to reesterify and go back into the fat cell for later usage. So it's important that you exercise while you implement these different strategies as well. Now, to harness it, you can do more of an extended fast. So you can wake up, first 30 minutes, you introduce the chemistry and everything else, and then you go do your cardio for anywhere but 30 to 60 minutes. And then what I like to do is extend it by another hour, hour and a half. So typically I won't eat breakfast until about 3-4 hours after I wake up. It just depends. Sometimes the yohimbine makes me very jittery, and insulin negates the effects of yohimbine. So that's why I will eat if I feel like I'm getting a little too jittery, blood sugar lows, things that you really want to pay attention to when you're performing these exercises. So that's it. That's the plan. So I'm going back home to finish my prep in the Bay Area. This is a deload week, and that's what you do to harness the powers of fat loss. So just thought I'd share some science and everything with you guys before I go on my hour-long walk outside. So enjoy.
All right, so to add a little bit more to this video, I thought I'd throw in the workout where I PR'd right before I leave Idaho. I definitely have to say training has been pretty spot on since I've been here. No shortage of gyms. I can go to the Anytime in Pullman or the Anytime in Moscow, and I also go to the university. Here I am hitting a wide grip bench press at 290 for 4 reps. I honestly could have gotten probably 8, but I felt a strain in my right pec warming up, and obviously the heavier I went, the more I felt the strain. So I decided to make an executive decision and just stop at 4 reps. I'm not going to get to my goals any faster with an injury. I was lucky enough to have a guy there to spot me. There was only a girl in the gym at the time. So the order of these workout videos are a little out of sequence, so you're going to have to bear with me. I believe this was a warm-up set, so I'm just going to do 1 rep. So I think it's very important that we acclimatize ourselves to the weight that we are going to use. So you slowly are going to make jumps up towards your working weight. Obviously, if you bench 400, you can make bigger jumps. Use your best judgment. Typically, I'll do just the bar for 20 reps, 135 for 10 reps with a 5-second pause on my chest to really kind of just get those fibers recruited. 185, then I'll jump up to 225, and then I'll jump up to 245, 275, and then as you see that last set, that was 285. So these are a little bit backwards in the sequence, but I like to control the eccentric, nice little pause, really own that range of motion. You will notice that I am wearing a weight belt as I am doing the lifts and everything else. As I am beginning to get increasingly stronger, I am starting to notice more and more abdominal pulls and strains, which is weird. Never had that happen before in my life, and I don't want to get a hernia, so I thought just to take prophylactic measures and wear a weight belt. I'm actually going to be purchasing a custom weight belt. This is a lever belt, which is good. It's nice, but it's a pain in the ass. It gets loose as you use it. You have to always kind of adjust it and everything else. So, and I think it's a little bit too wide for me. It does leave some bruises on the lower part of my rib cage. I have a little bit of an awkward torso. So I'm going to get my belt through Cardio Weights. I'm going to get my last name, Perez, placed on the back. So, people know that it's mine. Unless you happen to be Perez, then you can steal it and no one will ever know the difference. Here I am. I believe this is 170. I did 5 sets. I'm really volumizing a lot of my single joint work with the pecs. So I do dumbbell flies on one workout, and then I do pec deck flies on the following workout. As you can see, I don't bring my hands all the way together. I just want to focus on bringing that humerus towards the sternum. That's sort of the intent when performing this exercise, to get those clavicles, the sternal and the clavicular portion of the pecs working. This is the last exercise. As I stated before, these are a little bit out of sequence, and you can see the angle kind of sucks. I actually should have edited this a little bit better in terms of the angle and everything. This is terrible. You can't even see it. But anyways, it's 45 pounds, focusing on the eccentric, getting deep in there, and really focusing on stretching those pecs. The dip is probably one of my favorite exercise in terms of shoulder health, in terms of strength, both pressing and otherwise. It's a great exercise. So if you could control the dip, you'll probably be strong in various other ranges of motion as well. I probably could have gone heavier, but as I stated earlier, I had a little bit of a strain in my right pec, so it was a miracle that I can do these and didn't have any problems. And once again, I apologize for the angle. You're just going to have to trust that, yes, that is me doing the dips, and yeah. This is what happens when you don't have a cameraman, I guess. I'm not sure if I think this is the one I filmed with my phone. All right. And I believe this is going to be the last exercise. Like I said, they're out of order, so the hoodie is on. This was actually my second exercise, and it was flat dumbbell chest press. The pec deck fly was the third exercise, and the weighted dips was the fourth exercise. I then went on to assistance work for the shoulders and the biceps as well. I could have gone significantly heavier. Like, I literally felt like I can throw this up in the air effortlessly. The 100 pounds felt like 50 pounds, if I'm being honest. I don't know if that's because of the trenbolone giving me such a crazy amount of strength, or just like I'm just getting stronger over time. But that right pec was really pissy. Luckily, this didn't bother me, but I decided to be very, very cautious and just focus on really stretching those pecs, getting a good contraction, range of motion, and things like that. So, all right, that was my workout from last week. As everybody knows, I am leaving for the Bay Area. I will be coming back to Idaho in the fall. Thank you, everybody, for following me. Please like and subscribe. If you think my technique sucks, go ahead and tell me in the comment section too.